Alright team, welcome back to the day 3 continuation for our QTP J19 batch. Let's continue, take a quick review at what we did till day 2 and we're going to take it forward from there. So let's quickly look into our project 1 that we started to work. I'm going to open up the doc and then we will look into some of the tasks that we've created and then simple test cases and so on. So quick review of what we did so far. Number 1, what we did is we put together our list of tasks as to what we will be doing as part of this project, and towards the end of the entire activity we wish to be able to master VB scripting, how the UI for the new QTP version 11.5 looks, and how do you go about the art of automation. Okay, that's the intent. Then we started writing a quick list of tasks that we will execute. We've identified ITeLearn being the website that we will take a quick peek into testing for the first project. What we did according to that is we created a few test cases. Okay, test case 1 is a simple login to see if a user with the right membership level is able to log into the system. Then we have another test case which is primarily subscribing for free videos for a different type of user. Okay, so here are those two test cases that we've put. Now we were talking about how do we take that something that we've done as a manual testing and move it into automation. Okay, so this is where it becomes very interesting for us. So we have to take something that we have done as a manual testing, okay, and then move it as part of automation. To do that, we need to teach this automation tool all about how to perform the same steps that are done manually. Okay, and to do that, we have this tool called as HP QTP QuickTest Professional, which is now part of the Unified Functional Testing from HP company. Okay, QTP will help to run the same steps manually that we did earlier through an automated process now. To do that, we have two methods. One is record the steps and show how we can do it. The other is write. All right. Let's take a quick look at the record process and how it's going to work. Before I start to do a record process, I want to make sure that we first let's launch up with HP. Okay. I'm continuing with my trial version. Click on OK. I haven't done a recording earlier on this specific version, so let's hope that it does a record. If it doesn't, I will try and change a few settings to see if that will help us. Okay. Now, as we go about doing it, let me first open up the previous tests that we're working on. So some of the components that you work, most recent ones will be available in this list here, so you could pick it up directly. What we did earlier was we went to File, we did a new test. Now I am opening the ones which I recently worked on, and the name of that test was J19-test1. This is the same thing which is available out here in our front layout in the start page. You could click on that. This will load up the script, the other related files for that specific script that we created. In this, let's go directly to action 1, in which we have the entire script that we did. As part of it, all I had, which were actual executing lines, were these two print statements, which will print something into this output console. Okay, output is just a way for us to peek into and see what has been printed through this. All right, the layout, if you look at it, team, has been made very similar in terms of how Eclipse is. If any of you have been exposed to the Java development tool called Eclipse, which we've used significantly as part of Selenium training, the layout of this IDE is very similarly developed as that of Eclipse, but it looks good. It has got a good layout. It has got good help and autocomplete of your codes and so on. Okay, but you just need to get a little used to it as we go along. So now this is where we had stopped. To be able to execute these steps and teach QTP how to perform, you could do something called as a record and then do exactly those same steps. Okay, I am going to close my IE browser, all the windows that were open, and make sure that I start from scratch when the record is happening. So at this point, before I do it, first let me save this test as J19 test 2. So the same test which I was using earlier, now I'm changing the name of it. So this is in users KK documents. Okay, users KK documents, my documents, unified functional testing. And here is where I'm going to save this. So while we see it as files, if you open up the actual file repository for it and you go into documents, unified functional testing, here you would see this is created as a folder by itself. Okay. How you minimize QTP size? Again, it's just a window, so you have the option to be able to resize it and be able to put it wherever you want. I use the shortcut key Windows M on the keyboard to be able to minimize everything. So I have QTP on one side. What I'm doing is I'm hitting the keyboard key Windows and left. Team, can you see this keyboard out here? Can you see this keyboard out here right now? Yes? Okay, good. So this is basically a touchscreen HP laptop. So they have this. So I'm hitting the Windows M, Windows icon, which is not visible here, but you'll see it besides Alt or spacebar in a bigger keyboard, and M together to minimize all windows. Now I'm hitting a Windows button and left arrow to resize my window panel on the left half of my screen. So that way I have the application here. Now what I'm going to do in J19 test 2, I am going to click on record. Okay. At this point, what QTP will do is it will start to learn all the activities that we perform on an application. Okay. Record and run test on any open browser, or open the following address when a record or run session begins. All right, and then you go about doing it. So we want to open up specific address. So I'm going to click on open, and I'm going to say which address. The web address that we're looking at is ITeLearn.com. Now look at this word. Open the following address when a record or run session begins. What this means is whenever I hit a record or whenever I hit a run, which is basically playing back what we recorded, automatically ITeLearn.com will get opened through Microsoft Internet Explorer. Okay, that is the browser that we're currently using. All right, and then we automatically have these two lines saying do not record and run on browsers that are already open. Close the browser. So let's leave it like that for now, as default as it is, and focus on the recording option. Apply it, click on OK. So at this point, we should be able to see IE being launched up. Okay, IE launched. ITeLearn.com is being approached right now, and you will see that the whole window of QTP has been minimized into this view right now. Okay, and this is what we're seeing as a QTP view. You have various options out here to look into. All right, I don't want you to really look into anything, or you can stop the recording. I just want you to look into the script of it. Okay, the main script page of the page is what I want you to see. I'm going to perform Windows right to resize the window on the right side. Okay, now I will go about performing these steps out here, and let us see what will happen. Okay, I'm going to click on member login here. So as soon as I click on a specific link on my website, that activity is being performed, right? Okay, and you will see a line of code getting generated. What QTP is doing in the background, team, is it is trying to make sure that everything that we are performing, it is learning it and it is storing that information. Why? So that later it can execute the same things again. Now let us simply go ahead and start typing. I've typed a username, and I'm going to put in some dummy password for now, And as I perform each step, you will see lines getting generated. Now we're going to go back and look into what are those lines that got generated and how to understand them well. Okay, let's click on login. As soon as I click on login, you will see the page going through a different section altogether, and I've got the error at the end out here. Okay, let us say that the step is right now only till the login process. Now I'm going to click on stop recording here, or you can also click on the stop recording button out here. All right. As soon as you do that, your recording session has been terminated. No longer is it necessary for us to complete or continue the recording session. What is very important for us to really focus on is look at what has happened on every step of the application. Okay. Now, before we continue forward, you will see that a few lines of code is generated. Each line of code is right now indicating a specific step that has been performed. Okay. Till the time that you master to understand what these steps are, it may take you a few minutes for us to get there. Let us look at how we can understand what is step 2 doing. If you saw it while the recording was happening, you'll be able to vaguely picture out that, hey, on the browser, on the page, we clicked on a link called member login here. All right. That is the operation that we perform. Now, if we are not sure and you want to see the application, what happened at that time, that is when you can refer to the active screen. Active screen is actually a complete HTML dump of the application at that point in time. Okay. Now, what happens is as the active screen generates, it also highlights the object, and we will discuss about objects in a brief minute. That we are working on. Okay, so that line of code is generated. Now I'm going to cut that code just like a text and put it after the commented code so that it is easy for us to understand what we did at which point in time. Okay, now let me go to line 3 out here and see what is there. Here is where, if I look at the active screen, the username is generated. Okay, not generated. We basically entered our username or email. All right. Then what I put the step 4 out here. We entered the password. How do I know? By looking at the active screen, it is very easy for me to be able to refer, right? Now, then what happens is browser page web button. We clicked on the login button. I'm going to cut the same and put it up here. Have I done anything for confirming if login happened or not? Not yet. So this step is basically pending. We still need to automate this step. But so far, what we have done is we have taken the manual steps for the simple steps and we have recorded them and we taught QTP how to do it. I deleted those print statements because I don't need it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of new print statements. Okay. VB scripting is not case sensitive in the sense that it is not important if I'm using uppercase or lowercase for the specific operations or keywords. As you go along, you will see there will be a lot of statements and keywords that have specific meanings. When I say print, in the internal operations or library of VB script, it has a specific meaning and it executes a series of steps that will take whatever text I have put after it and make sure that it is printed on the output screen here. Okay, that is what the print statement does. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to say print start of the test. Okay, copy the same thing, put it to the end, and we'll say end of the test. Now we have created this test. All I'm going to do is run this test. How did we create the test? By doing a simple record. Now we're going to run the test. I'm going to go to options, make sure that the temporary run results folder is enabled. It is important to note why we are doing certain activities team. Okay, we are doing automation testing. Okay, automation and then testing. This is primarily what we're doing. 90% of the effort of what we do is going to go into automation. Okay, making sure that we write the right scripts, put the right logic in generating that code. Coming to testing, it become very easy. Okay, so till we get into testing, we do not have to worry about what we are doing in terms of testing. Okay, so we don't need run results at this point in time. The results can be looked at later point in time. So that is the reason I'm asking you not to focus on the run results right now. Hence, pick the temporary run results. Click on run, and now what you'll see is whatever we did as a record is going to get executed. But you would also notice that the execution is probably done in a little fast manner. It is not done as slow as a human can see. But it has exactly performed the steps in a much more faster manner. So what happened? We created a very efficient system. Okay, so basically what we have is speed of execution. All right, that is very critical. Now it is much faster than what a human can do. If I wanted to slow down between each step just only because I want to see what is happening, we will insert a new statement called wait. What wait does, and you will see the help or the suggestion dialogues coming up as soon as you start writing a recognizable keyword, is what it does. It initiates a pause during a run session. Simple English, between step 7 and step 9. 9 is blank, step 10. 10 is also comment, step 11 rather. Between step 7 and step 11, wait for certain amount of time. How much time? Let's say 3 seconds. As soon as I give this, between every step, the run operation is going to wait for that amount of time. 3 seconds can be a little too much, so I'm going to give 2 seconds in certain instances. Let's say 3 at the beginning. Why did I do this? Only to be able to see how the execution is going to happen slowly. Now I'm going to click on run. Okay. So it is waiting for the website to load, but you will see that the execution is not happening as quickly as it happened the last time. Okay. So you will see that the entire execution has happened and the run results is coming up. We will take it off later, but for now I'm just blindly closing it. All right. What has happened is QTP has learned to execute the same application. Okay, the same thing that we did earlier, it has learned to execute it, and that is what record does. Now let's go behind the scenes to look at what really happens during this automation, during the learning phase through record. What typically happens, team, is QTP does two main activities. Okay, it understands two things. One is what you need to do and where you need to do. All right, those are the two most important activities that get performed. Okay, there is the where part to it. Okay, and then there is the what part to it. Okay, this is what will happen for QTP to learn during a record. When we write our own script, which we're going to do now, we will do it without having to do a record, but it will be the same concept. It is as simple as giving it an instruction. QTP is nothing but a smart robot. However, it is not it does not have artificial intelligence. There is no real sense of artificial intelligence unless it can start to think on its own and do things without being given instructions. All right. When you give instructions, that is when QTP will perform the steps. Hence, it will only fail if we give it the wrong instructions. So instructions have to be correct. The instructions that are needed for QTP to perform are like you give to a robot, or you give to a let us say a remote control. Okay, if you press on the power button, that is when the television will come on. If I press on the power button, but I'm not pointing it towards the sensor on the television, and I'm pointing it anywhere else, the television will not come on. Okay. If I change the channel, it will change the channel up or down. it depends on what I press on the remote that happens on the application. Now, if you look at, let's say, for example, on this website, what is a user doing? Very simple. A user is using only two things. Okay, he or she is using a keyboard. Please look at this image, assuming that this is a keyboard. Okay, and he or she is using a mouse to be able to interact with the application or the browser, right? Through keyboard, he or she is entering some information. With a mouse, he or she is able to point to where you want to enter. All right. So you're basically typing something, you're clicking on something, you're seeing something on the website, and so on. And that is what QTP also needs to be performing. Either a type or a click or see what is there on the website or navigate on a specific page and so on. Okay. The activity that needs to get performed is defined by the what. Okay, do you want to type or do you want to click or blah, blah or select from a drop down list and so on is performed by the what category. Where do you want to do it? Do you want to click on the first link, the second link, the login link, the logout link, the FAQ link, and so on? That is decided by the where portion. Right? That is it, team. It is as simple as that. Once you understand this concept, you have mastered the beginning of art of automation. Now it is easy for us to get deeper and understand all about objects and what is this object-oriented programming. But at a high level, get an idea about how objects work. Is this clear for everyone? What a where does and what does? Then yes, I might give some additional information like if I'm typing on something, okay, the what portion is type, where a edit field that we will see on the website like username or first name or email and so on. What is it that I'm going to type? Is it the actual characters that you can give as an additional information? Okay, that is an easy thing to understand. But where and what? Now, with this understanding, let me open up QTP again and look at if I can see the script and identify the where and what. What is the second step in the whole automation process? Click on member login here at top right. This is the link that I want to click on. Okay. If you look at your whole code, the what portion is defined by the simple word here called click. The text that I've just highlighted is the what portion. Sorry about that, team. Give me a second, please. All right. What I do is here, the click is the word. But where am I clicking? I am clicking on the link. And this is a name given to that link. This link is there on a web page. And here is the name of that web page. And this web page is stored in a browser. And here is the name to that browser. Okay. This entire text from here to here is basically defining the where portion. Where is it that we are going to perform that activity? That is it. Okay. Now, if you go and look at any code within the entire automation, you will see the same thing getting repeated. Anything that I'm doing on the application typically has how I get to that object or the where and then what I do. For example, entering the email. The same browser, ITeLearn software testing, but the page has changed to a different name. Whatever you see in quotes is basically a name team or a specific value. Okay. In this case, it is a name, and I'll explain to you why. Let me see. Let me quickly. Give me one quick second, please. just trying to increase the overall font so that it can be easy for us to look into the code also. Okay, there you go. So I just basically took a few seconds because I was not sure where it was. But under tools, was it under tools? Yeah, I think under tools I went to options and I went to the text editor, and under fonts and colors I changed the size to 14 just to increase it so that it is easy, especially for you when you're watching the videos and so on, to look at it. Okay, the output window, I don't need it for now, so I'm just gonna resize it a little bit. And this properties section is also something that we're not yet referring, so I'm going to close it. The focus is now purely on the code. Good part is that there is a color differentiation between most of it, but until you look at it very closely, you're not able to see it. Okay. Now, in this case, you will see that this is the where portion. There is a same browser, the page got navigated to a new page, and then there is a web edit field. The name is different. This is a link. This is a web edit. Do you see this? The type of the where is also changing. Then there is the method that we're performing on it, which is basically what am I doing? Set is similar to entering or typing something into a web edit field, and that what am I typing is given next to it. Okay. Then what I did is I entered a password. Then there is the same browser, the same page, because I've not navigated out of that page. I am clicking again another web edit, because that is defining what type of an object it is, and then there's a password, and then the set secure. It is nothing but very similar to set, but for passwords we use this. It basically encrypts the password into some characters, decrypts it back, so that whatever password I entered, typed it there, like it will not be visible when we're typing it on the application. It comes more as stars and so on. Similarly, it will try and avoid to keep it hard coded in the code. It is automatically through a logic encrypted, and we need to decrypt it. Set secure will automatically decrypt it before it puts it back on the application. But this one will exactly do as the output the same as copied pasted the same code. Set, and let us say that the converted password of this is 123.123.123. If this is the actual password that I put, these two will do the same thing. This one, if this was the encryption for this code, okay, it will perform this after changing it back into a normal text and putting it. That's what set secure does. Set takes the text as is and puts it there. That is just the difference. Now, I don't need both the sentences. I'm going to comment one of them. I'm commenting the line 16 because I feel that it is just an example that I want to show you. And team, please do not get confused or get lost if you're looking at some of these things for the first time. And if you feel it's a little heavy, you will get there eventually. It is one of the easiest tools to learn. You just have to sit through the sessions and see how easily you're able to navigate going forward. Okay. Finally, there is the browser. Same page, there is a web button, login, and then we have the what portion called click. Now you understand everything that you see has a where and a what. So before I go into the next example where I'm able to show you how things will actually work, I want to take any questions, team, that you have. You can use chat to start putting your questions while you're watching these videos. If you have not completed if you have completed the entire video and you still have some questions, please go back, visit ITeLearn.com. I want you to first look into the questions that have already been answered, okay, and then come back to posting a new question there, please. All right, you will all have the access to the membership there. You should be able to do it from the members area. If you go into the technical support, you will see the forum, which is very active. You can use that to put your questions in there. Okay. All right. So at this moment, I'm assuming there are no questions from the audience. What I'm going to do is continue with it. But again, as I told, use the discussion forum actively, please. That will be a good guide for you as you go along. All right. Especially on the manual software testing, you'll see the QTP automation, not manual software testing. You will see various discussions being posted. You can use them. All right. Okay, now let's go back. So I want you to, now I've shown you a record process. Now let's do our own writing of a code. Okay, the same where and what we can write on our own. Okay, but before I do that, I want to show you how QTP does. QTP is not just generating a VB script at the backend team. It is also creating a map which is pointing to all the where portions that it is answering. Okay, how is it creating this map? By answering the where portions in there. This is basically for QTP to be able to identify the various objects that it sees on the web page. It gives it a specific name and identifications of it and stores it in a place called as object repository. Okay, object repository is nothing but kind of a map through which QTP can go back and be able to look into why where that object is located on the web page. Okay, team, if you have questions, continue to put them in the chat, please. I will come back and answer it as I progress into the session. All right, now let me erase this. But do note, team, your questions that come out typically in a live session are very repetitive. They're more superficial and repeat this and so on. But when you do a practice, your real questions will come. At that time, you need to use the forum, please, because most of the participants doing self-learning through the videos, and that is very effective along with the forum. Now, I want to look at the same recording. Okay, so I just want to create a new test altogether. I'm going to call this as the same GUI test. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just say alt F8, no, a new test. Okay, file, new test, a GUI test, create. So this test was modified, so I'm going to save it. That way I can open new test. And I'm going to say this is JU alt F8. I'm going to give the same name, test2 temp. I'm repeating the same process in that so that you know it when you have access to these files, that nothing is being confused. I'm going to do and repeat the same record again, but at this time I want you to watch some other portion of it called as the object repository. Okay, so let's start the record. Open the following address when the record run session begins: ITeLearn.com and Microsoft Internet Explorer. So at this point, while the website is getting loaded, you have the few options out here. Do you see this, team? Okay. Now, the icon, if you look at for object repository, has changed. And here is the new icon that has been designed for the object repository team. Okay. If you click on this, this will show you the entire map of objects that will get collected. As soon as we perform an operation on a specific object or element of the web page, the details of that will get stored in here. This is a place where QTP automatically gives it a name and puts in identification information for that object here. I want you to just look at what is happening out here when I'm performing these steps. Okay, is every object getting loaded when I do this? No, specific objects. And the way it will happen is it will put those object names here and the specific recognition of that object out here. Okay, I've already done one object, now I'm doing another one. Okay, I have entered the information. The VB script is coming here, then the object repository here, and this is the combination that is very important that will get loaded. Okay, I'm putting in a password, and you will see as soon as I put in a password, a new object is also getting generated. It is in a tree structure. I will explain to you. Okay, and now click on login. So the same exact steps like we performed last time, but this time you're also seeing a repository getting generated. Let me stop this and show you. So everything that you see here has a specific meaning. Okay, it is not only for this test that I did, which is the temp of the test that we just created, J19-test2-temp. Even in J19-test2, you will see such an object repository getting created. So what are these objects? What are these repositories? Let me quickly give you an example using a blank background. Then we can come back to relook into it. This is the fundamental thing. These are the most important building blocks. If we don't know this, then it will become tough for us as we go along. Okay. Everything that QTP does on the application, it identifies the specific components as something called as objects. All right. Once it knows an object, it then also knows that it can identify an object using certain information. How does QTP know to click on one specific link and not the other link? How does it know to click on a button or to type into a specific edit field called username and not another edit field called password? That information to identify that object is there as an identification property. Okay. Then there are other informations, which is the other properties, the general properties of an object that defines the object. All right. And then there are the activities or methods or actions that we can perform on that given object, and that is called as methods. Now let us look at an example in a real life. Very simple examples. All right. Let us say that you want to let's say very simple. You have a keyboard, right? In your keyboard, you want to press on a specific button. Okay. When you press on a specific button, how do you identify that button? By seeing what is there on that button, correct? You are looking into that keyboard and you are able to find by the character that is there. There is a way for you to identify by looking at the character. Is it Q or W or E or R or T or Y and so on, okay? Once you press that, you will see that a specific activity will happen. For example, if I take a different example, if you have a car, all right, for example, if you have a car, you have, let's say, a accelerator in the car, okay? How do you know it's an accelerator? You will see it under the steering to the right, rightmost side of your leg. We drive it so often, but just to see where that is visually, we don't know because it gets embedded into you as a driving, right? You will see that there is a specific way for you to identify where that accelerator is there inside the car, okay? And then you know that once you press it, okay, the activity that you'll perform on that accelerator is to press it down, okay? Press down. What will happen? The car will speed up, okay? If you release, another activity that you can perform on it is release the accelerator, the car will slow down eventually, right? Those are the two things you can perform on an accelerator, okay? There is a specific information to identify the accelerator, where it is in the car and what you can do with it. In the same car, you also have a brake, okay? You have a similar information to identify a brake. It is right next to the accelerator, but there is different identification. They're unique. They're not the same because they do absolutely different activities. If you press the brake, your car will slow down. If you release the brake, your car is ready to move forward. All right. Depending on the type of object, if you perform a specific action, a specific activity will happen. Okay. Now, any car you take, if you hit on accelerator, the same thing will happen. If you click on the brake, if you press on the brake, the same thing will happen. The activities are the same. Okay. But you will see also that the accelerator is there inside the driver's console, which is inside the car. Okay. Now, for example, if I talk about engine, it is there inside the bonnet of the car. Now, let me take a new image just to show you what I mean. Okay. Uh, yeah. I have a car team. Okay. Let me draw it upside down. Okay. I have a car. A car has a driver's, the driving area. Okay. It has the front, the bonnet, which has all the engines and so on. Then it has the passenger area, which has other information. Then it has the trunk at the back or in the front for some cars where you can store luggage, right? Now, within the driver's seat, you have the steering wheel. You can do specific activities with the steering. You turn it left, right. You have the speedometers and so on. You have the accelerator, brakes, and so on. Different objects that are there in there. Inside the bonnet, you have the engine. Okay. You have the battery. You have the wires, wirings. You have the electric connections and so on. Various other things here. Near the passenger, similar thing again. Seats, safety belts, this, that, and so on. So every component in a car can be grouped into a specific structure. The car is a parent. It has many sub-objects that belongs inside a car, and they're called as the child objects. There is a parent object and then there is a child object to it. Similarly, in this case, D is a parent object and it has a child object, many child objects within it. And that is another way to look at this. When you look at the object repository, it is exactly the same way of representation. Okay. QTP identifies everything to begin with inside the browser, because the browser is the main application for it. Inside the browser, you will see that there are pages, web pages. Inside the web pages, there are the different fields to it. Now, if I can go and click on this, you will see that the object has specific properties. Properties basically define that object, what type of an object it is. For example, if I say I have a cell phone, okay, the properties of that cell phone define what exactly it is. Is it a smartphone? Is it a Samsung or Apple product? Is it how many inches is the screen? What kind of a model is it? What color is it? How much is the memory capacity of it? What is the IMEI recognition number for it and all that? Every detail for that cell phone is there either to identify it or to describe it. Okay, you can identify an object or you can describe an object. Okay, the identification sometimes can be repetitive, but usually they're very unique combinations that through which you can identify something. Okay, for example, if I'm looking at an individual, I can identify them based on the first name, or if there's a larger group, I need also the last name, or if there's a larger group, I may need an additional thing like a phone number or an email address. Okay, and if it is more secure environment, we need a specific login ID, or I might need your social security number. So there are various things that are used to identify you. But to describe you, I don't need to use that. Just by using your social security number, I don't know what you are. I can describe you saying that you're a male or a female, what is your height, what is your weight, what kind of a color hair you have, what kind of a build you have, and so on, what kind of a clothes you're wearing. Those are used to describe you. Okay, every object has properties. All right, the class is a property of an object that defines what type of an object it basically is. That is the beginning point, because once you define the type of object, is it a human or is it a dog? If it's a dog, you have different other properties for a dog. For all humans, you have different properties. Okay, all humans carry a same set of properties. All dogs carry a different set of properties. So that is where you start with. That is here. What type of object? This is a browser. Okay, every object is given a name so that QTP can relate it from the script to the object repository. So the way the operation works right now is, as soon as it sees browser, it is referring to the class here. the class browser, so it needs to say browser here. And then it has the name for it. The name is automatically taken through some properties of the web page, which is not relevant right now, and given some name there, and that is called as basically a logical name that gets automatically assigned to that object. Okay, that name is used to identify that object between the VB script here and the object repository here. Then there are additional properties in this section that are used to identify the object in the application. So the way the functionality flows is from the script, first the execution will look into if that object is present in the object repository. It would then look at the properties out here and then go and identify that specific object in the application and see if it's open or not. Alright, that is how it is going to work. When we do descriptive programming, you will see that the operation goes directly from the script onto the application. It bypasses the object repository because the properties that are used to describe that object are given directly in the script. Now you have the ability to rename these objects that get their logical names. When you record, automatically the names are provided. Sometimes you will see that it is easier to have a better looking code. Actually, every time you'll feel it's easier to have a better looking code so that you can maintain it. Everyone in the team can understand what it is, and it is easy for you to maintain, especially when you have hundreds of objects and thousands of lines of code getting generated. Here, since this is a browser, I'm just going to call it as an IE. That is the name that I'm giving to my browser. See what happens as soon as I change the name to IE on here to the script and to the repository here. Okay, as soon as I change the name, you would notice that the change is reflected back in my script and it has changed here. I didn't change anything to do with the identification of the objects that is here. How the object is identified on the app, that portion I didn't touch. How it is identified in the script is the only thing that I changed. This way, it makes it easy for me to maintain and write new scripts. Okay. Any questions so far, please? Let me know, team. All right, team. So there are a few questions. I'm going to come to those, but let's take a quick progress onto it because very important things that are going to come. Okay, so the way we represent the where portion is the class name and the name that we have given to that object in the repository. The browser is the parent object. In the browser, there are different pages, and in the pages, there are different objects. Okay, so if you look at this, the first page that I have here is ITeLearn software testing. So let me change this to page 1, or I'll say home, because that is home, right? That is where we started with. Let me change it in the script and see what happens to the object repository here. Anything happened? No. Let's save this. No, it has not changed it here. Why? Because it is not trying to it's not expecting you to change it in the code. If you want to change it really, team, do not change it here, please. Change it only in the object repository directly. So come to the page. This is the main parent object IE. Okay. Click on it and you will see that it expands. Now, if you go down, you have ITeLearn software testing here. Change this to home page. This is the home page of the website. All right. So I'm going to call this as home. It is easy for me to understand what it is. The next page is more of a login page. Okay. So login is good, but why all these characters? Let's keep it simply as login. See, now it is becoming easy for us to really read the code like almost like it is English for us. Okay, browser with the name IE dot is referring to, hey, within that browser there is another child object called home. This is right now stored in this specific order. If you look at, home is out here, and under, it does not matter what order it is stored here, team, because the order in which the steps get executed is very important. The order in which the objects are searched here is not that important. Okay, so under the page has a page object of type of class page. The name is home. Do not get confused on this thing. The object of type class link is under the page with name home. Where is page name home? Here. And where is the, what is the link here? The name is member login here. You can change the name here. It does not matter, because this is only reflecting between the code and object repository. If you change the properties here, which we will look into a very deep manner, especially when we get to descriptive programming, then you're changing how you recognize the person itself. It's very simple. So it's, instead of saying email address, I'm changing it to primary email. Okay, the name of that email address I'm changing is primary email, or I'll say secondary email. I'll say home phone or mobile phone or cell phone and so on. Okay, I'm not changing the actual number or the email ID. If I change that, then the recognition itself is going on. Now here you have log and password. So this is basically log. So I'll change this to username because it is easier for me to identify it as username, and this I will change it to password. Okay, and here member login, here I will say, instead of all this, login link. This is the name that we are giving. Now what has happened is you have generated a code that is much easier for you to understand. Okay, the reason it is important for you to do this amount of maintenance is because you will not work with the small scripts of this size. Your scripts will be either into dozens of lines of code, or you'll have hundreds of scripts like this to work and maintain. And you will not be the only individual who's going to work on this. You will have a large team, usually distributed and sometimes across the globe, who's going to work on it. You will need to follow a specific nomenclature, a specific standard, so there is ease in how you work. And that is why, though it took me only a few seconds to record it, I will need additional effort to maintain the script. And hence, I could do the same thing without doing a record and do it in a more structured manner. Okay, and I'll show you how. All right. Now, to do that very quickly, I know I'm almost end of the time, but I quickly want to show you how you do it on your own. So I'm going to create a new test, a GUI test. Okay. Oops. This one, what did I name it as? J19 test. Okay. I'm going to call it as GUI test. Name it as J19-test3. Okay. And click on create. So now I've created a completely new test. I'm going to work with this test very quickly. So if I look at, go back to the application. Drive docs.google.com, and I go into the QTP J19 folder, and I go into the project. I'm just looking at the test case, so I can take the second test case. Come on. What is this error that is happening in Microsoft IE? This is the main problem. See, suddenly this is not opening up the documents. It's saying blank page. Open with Google Sheets. Open. Yeah, now I opened it as show all content or secure content. It's giving some secure content thing, but that's okay. So test case 2. So for example, if I want to execute the test case 2, the first thing I'll do is copy this. Okay, I'll put it up here, and I'll say these are all comments because these are my steps. So I want to visit ITeLearn.com. The one way to visit ITeLearn.com is in the record option you have, you can put the same structure here and say http ITeLearn.com, but I can put it as a command here called systemutil.run. What is this? I will explore. I will explain to you tomorrow. IExplore.exe, comma, the URL. What this does is this specific command launches IE and navigates to the URL. This is what this command does. How is it broken down? We will investigate later. Not enough time for this session to do it. Then the next one is look for pop-up window. There will be a pop-up window. We need to do something. Enter in email, enter name, email, click on get free videos and so on. Now what I'm doing is we're not going to do a record. However, what we will be doing is we will work through the object repositories. Okay. If you click on this icon here, it will open up the object repository, or you can use your shortcut Control R. Okay. At this point, what you could do is add your own objects directly from the application into your browser, into your object repository. You're basically telling QTP, can you please go to ITeLearn.com and learn about a specific object? Okay. I need to open it up in a private window because that pop-up won't come for more than 3 or 4 times. For the first time visitor it does, but this pop-up will not come every time. Okay. Now what I'm doing, this also I don't need. Now what I'm doing is I will click on this add object and then take my mouse to point to a specific object in the web page that I need, the where portion, and click on it. What it will do is it will tell us that there is a browser, in that there is a page, in that there is a web table, in that there is a web edit field. Do you want to add this to the repository? Once you click on OK, it will add all those objects that are there in that structure and give it a logical name based on some information that it is already seeing. What is QTP basically doing? It is not able to see it directly, but what it does is it will actually go through the source code. If you right click on the page and click on view source, the entire HTML code for that application is available. It will go through the source code and read specific information that it can get so that it can see that object. Okay, that is what it does. I want you to do it so that you can quickly, one, change the names here, i.e. this is home page, right? So we can say home, and here this is first name. So let's give it a name here called first name. Am I changing the identification properties here? No, just the names and so on. What I'm doing as step 1, adding the, actually step 1 is list the steps that you need to execute. 2 is add all the related objects. As soon as I add second object, it will not go and add it under IE home and so on. It will not create a new object. It will see that it's already there and it will add it under the same. And here I'm going to say this is email. Okay. And then I'm going to go click on this get your free videos now. It's a button. Okay. I'll say free videos. That is the name I give. Okay. Now I have quickly got the object repository. Looking at this, I can quickly write my own code, and that will be first you start with where is this object? It is in browser. That is the class. As soon as you open the brackets, you will see IE gets filled up automatically. Why? Because there is only one object of type browser in the object repository. Everything that you'll do will be test objects. Only unless you come to checkpoints and output objects, that will be different here. Okay. And now dot. As soon as you hit dot team, you will see various other activities that you can perform and the different objects that you'll do. Team, I'm little kind of rushing up into it, but we will go at length when we come back in the next session. Page home dot. Now what is it? There is the email. What do I need to do, team? I need to put the class of it, and it is called web edit. That is the structure through which the code is being written. So now I'm going to say web edit, open the bracket, but now I don't get one automatically. I have two objects of type webedit under the page home under the browser IE. So I can choose which one, and then I can say dot set. What is set? Set is the method that takes the text that I'll put after this and puts it into the email. I'll say email1 at or some k@k.com. Okay, this is the email. Then I will put another one and change this to the next one is the name, email and then name, correct? Now here instead of email, I'm going to call this as webedit first name. All right, that is the next object. And finally, okay, this is here. Enter. Actually, enter name here. That is coming first. Then enter email, and then click get free videos. So everything is the same till page at least. After page, I'm going to click on start typing web button. Right. Free videos dot. What am I going to do? Set. Why don't I see set in here? Because there is no, you're not typing anything into a button. You will be clicking on a button, and that is the reason. All right. And finally, this. Now what we did is we did the same exact thing as a record, but in a little bit more neater fashion. Took more time, but you will see as we go along why this is more important than doing a blind record. I'm just going to quickly do a run team. If you have a question, please do not wait anymore. Put it in the chat so that I'll have enough time to answer it. When we come back in the next session, we will go further through this, but I want you to specifically do watch and practice by looking at a few videos. Now what is happening is it has launched ITeLearn.com. In fact, it has launched 2 websites, and it will wait for the page for that specific object to get loaded. It is trying to wait for the web edit. Now, if it does not find that object, what will it do? See, it is running, it is running, it is trying to execute that. It is waiting for that, but it does not get it. What is it doing then? It has put something into name. Instead of putting it somewhere else, it has put it here because it is trying to automatically see if it wants to do, it's something called a smart identification, which is something we should never use. And because smart identification does this, it automatically tries to perform the step on the next close object. It is like this. It is like saying, hey, if you cannot find the accelerator, press the brake on the car. It is that dangerous. That is better rather than saying, hey, if you cannot find the brake, press the accelerator on the car. That is what smart identification does, which we will try and completely avoid it. But you will see as we go along, how do we encounter these problems. Let me see if there are critical questions that I can quickly answer, please. I might run through the answers, but please, when we start the session, you should start with your questions. It will be easy for us. Why a comma after ITeLearn software testing? What it did, Smita, is basically when it did the initial record, it looked at the application. It went to the application's homepage and saw what is there as the title for it, the subject. Do you see this? Sorry, title for this page. There is a comma after software testing. That is why it took that comma. It took the first few characters from there and gave it a logical name using that. Okay. Systemutil.run. Yes, step 1. So that is what we did in Imtiaz right now. Can you say properties in the script? Properties in the script. No, you do not see the properties of the objects itself in the script. What you see is names of the objects that relate to the object repository, which have the specific properties of the object right here. When you do descriptive programming, you take the same properties and put it inside the script in a specific format. From where it picked the browser name, I showed you from the title. But basically it is looking at the HTML code. It is taking a choice from various options and trying to get it. What if we don't click on object repository while recording? Then it doesn't create the objects. It always creates the objects. Even when it is recording, you don't have to click on anything for it to do it. Unless it creates the objects, it cannot re-execute it. The reason I clicked on object repository is to show you live what was happening when the record was being done. In fact, if you remember, it was grayed out. You could not go and make any changes to it yourself. You were only seeing what was being done. I clicked on the object repository during the record only to show you what was happening to it when the record was happening. If not, then how does it identify objects in QTP? The identification, as I said, it takes from browser, it goes and finds if there is a name of that object of that name in the code in the object repository, then it will take the description and go to the page. For example, if I change this and say browser IE2, for example, okay, and now I just execute this. All right, what will happen? It will come here. After it launches, it will say that, hey, I didn't find an object with the name IE2 in the object repository. Can you check? So that is a different error from saying I could not find it in the application. These errors are very critical, team. I want you to focus on them. We will come to it as we go along. Okay. Let me see any other questions, but before that, let me quickly click here. Okay. Why is it comma? So Smita, I've answered why there is a comma. Comma doesn't have a significance. Anything that is inside the quotes is by itself. Okay. And that's why I changed it and I said, hey, let me give it something more sensible. Why objects are added in the beginning? Okay, because it is easy then for you to assemble it. It is, for example, when you go into a shop floor of a manufacturing plant of cars, all the objects are there, already there, waiting for the assembly to be done. So we have collected everything together and then we're piecing it. For example, if you go to IKEA and you buy, let's say, a TV stand, you bring that entire TV stand, you unpack all the objects, put them aside one by one in a neat fashion. As you assemble it, you pick that object and put it together. You're not going to put one object, you're not going to go to IKEA, run and go get each object at a time and so on. You'll try and get everything together, arrange them once you get them together. That is the idea behind it. Which is the best practice, to keep default names of objects or change the suitable names? Change the names, because you will want the code to look this way and not for it to look like a junk bits of characters. Okay, you want to be in control. You want to be able to easily identify, not only for yourself, for the entire team, of how the code looks, how the code executes, what kind of names you will give, and so on. What if there are two windows opened? Which windows QTP requires? Very good question. So how does QTP identify when there are two windows, or when there are three windows, or if there's the same object in the same web page of one window? All those things we will come to it. There's something called as ordinal identifiers. For browser, it uses the thing called as creation time. Which browser was opened first? For other objects, it will use something called as index to identify the order in which it appears in the application. All right. We will be coming to descriptive properties. We will go into detail here. That is when ordinal identifier will also get addressed. If we change the name of the object, does it affect the other team members working on it? Yes, absolutely. So this currently is a local script on your system. It is a local object repository. It is not a shared object repository. When you go beyond, you will see that, hey, you know what? Why should I create? I might have script 1, script 2, script 3, and so on. For the first page, I might have 200 test cases just on the home page, for example, or let's say 100. But why should I have 100 object repositories? Why don't I have one object repository which has all the information for the home page? Okay, for home page, the entire objects, I'll put it into one large repository, and I'm going to share that object repository with all my different actions or scripts as I need. Okay, that concept is about sharing object repositories, which we'll come to later. Which is the best phone number to talk to you? Not one really, team, because I stopped taking calls. There are too many calls that come to me, especially with about the courses and this detail and that detail. So I'm not taking any calls. You can always write to my team. They will come back to me. Okay. Now, please note, team, there is definitely a confusion on when the day 4 is going to be. I want you to do a few things that will really help us to move faster from day 4. So please ensure that you go to HP QTP training video tutorials, the homepage of QTP videos. Click on QTP videos on the video tutorials from ITeLearn.com, and make sure that you at least watch the first few videos from here. Okay, there are the QTP and VB script fundamentals. Just scan through it. Forget the video 1, video 2, and so on. Start with video 3 and go on to video 6. Most of what I'll be doing next will be covered here. You'll see how the entire things, I've done the same things, repeated it in a different style on different applications. It will give you a good perspective to be able to go and look into it. We will cover them as well, but I just want you to be able to practice well. So do watch these as you go along. Okay. All right, team. So Ram, if Daniel, if you have a question, you can always send an email. The phone numbers are not active 24/7. There are specific timings through which they're active, but you can always send an email if you have a question. All right. Or you can leave a voicemail with your number and someone can call. You can also put it in the chat. I'll pass it to someone and they will call you as soon as possible. All right. Meanwhile, everyone else, thank you so much for attending. I appreciate it. No, day 4 will not be tomorrow. I'm looking at the schedule because there is a large set of audience who's been missing out for some emails getting bounced recently, and that is the reason I didn't have a chance to be able to get all the participants in. Let me communicate back to you, please. You will see the day 1 to day 3 that has been done, published on the website. Day 4 schedule will come to you very soon, okay? And the timing for it. Will it be from Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 5 to 6:30 p.m. or the other way? I will let you know, please. Okay? You will get an email about it. This go-to training will end, so we'll need to create a new one and send it across. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you for attending. We'll see you back in the day 4. Meanwhile, please do practice by watching these videos from our QTP website. Thanks all. Take care. Bye now.